there's various forms of GBV and various forms of abuse. So who would like to start? Who would like to be part of that? Just one or two or three of you before we start with the presentation. Anyone? Okay. You can. Okay. Oh, sorry, yes, you can sit down. Sorry.
Good morning. Leina la ka ke Palesa. Jo. Okay, when I was and now I'm a survivor.
Okay. Just stand still.
Okay. I'm a survivor. When I was 9 years old, I was raped by my stepfather. So it happened to happen. Okay, he raped me. So I get a chance. I went to the hospital. But one thing about these things is like they affect you, even though they don't affect the whole people, but they affect the family. Mostly, they affect even your life, because one thing for sure is you have to get the support. If you don't get the support, there's no way that you can heal. So luckily me, I got my mom, I got my dad. But the thing is, it complicated the relationship, and it also complicated my relationship with my mom. Even though I stay with my mom, our relationship is complicated. Not that I hate her. No, I don't hate her. I've forgiven her. But the thing is, our relationship is toxic, because I believe like this thing, sometimes I feel like maybe this person hates me because if it was not for me talking that I was raped, he wouldn't have lost his boyfriend, because the treatment she gives me is different from the one she gives my sister. Oh. So from the question is, how did it happen? It happened like my mom knew like this person is not right. Love is blind. I don't blame her. Still, love is blind. I can't say hey, I hate you, it was your plan. Even though people say it's something that she wanted. I don't believe it. No mother will want their daughter to go through that. I don't believe in that. But for me, I feel like she should have protected me, because she knew what kind of a guy he's in a relationship with. Because she was told this person raped her daughter, killed people, but ke lerato, o ile le lone. So it's fine. Nka se ke mo blame. It happened. Maybe I feel like there was a purpose go etsagale, even if in le ntho e leng gore ne le botlhoko. But I feel like there was a purpose. Nka se ke re ke mo blame no. Ka gone ha ke mo blame nka se ke heal. Ha nka be ke ntse ke mo blame nka be ke se mo, nka be ke sa phele. Yeah, nka be ke le depressed, ke le all those things. But it's okay. During that period, I spent 3 months in hospital because like I was constipated. Yeah, I was constipated and then there was this thing I won't have kids, but ke na le bana ba two. Ke ba rata ka lerato. Ke ba rata ka lerato. Nna the reason ke maka emela gore go te aga shame eng. Nna the only thing ke ne ke batla ke gore if o le motsadi, etsa ngwana gago tšhomi ya gago. Etsa ngwana gago a re witse ke La ko strata go tla etsagala ba re mama ka kyole. A se ore okay re batona re batsadi ba bone, but now one thing ke lakatsang ke gore tla re ba mamele. O sa re wena monnyane tsantse o mamele nna. Ke mama gago, no, you don't have to remote. Listen, now I felt like if my mom she was listening to me, she was my pillar. I would have mama, this happened. Yeah. Sometimes you want to yeah, like that. No. It let that child enne tšhomi ya gago. E nne ke go e nne tšhomi ya gago. O nne motsadi wa gagwe, o nne best friend ya gagwe. Because ke feela gore ha motho le best friend ya gago, o itse go a go judge. Wa ya go kana ke a go tšhomi nyaka. Like yeah, o itse go that's my friend. Ha tlo go judge. Even though ga ba khalimela, but even though wa mo khalimela, you have to a nne tšhomi ya gago gore ka moso ha le mo mathateng a ba re mama, this happened. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So it is, thank you for sharing. And can we just acknowledge the fact that you are a survivor, as you said, and the abuse is sexual abuse, obviously, because she was raped. It's actually sexual violence. Yes, so, and then obviously it spilled over to a situation of emotional abuse by a mom because of the hatred and the feelings, the resentment rather, but obviously also her mom's own inability to deal with the fact that she maybe felt guilty. So I just want to check, is there anyone else that wants to share before we start with the presentation? There will still be opportunity afterwards. Away? Okay.
So now I'm a survivor. I've been stabbed by my husband 10 holes. So what I would like to say to you is that I was stabbed by my husband. He stabbed me 10 holes from behind. And this hand is not working because I was blocking the knife. And he attacked me at my mother's house. So I'm not what I went through. I'm different. I won't take my problems and make it the burden. I'm not, you can look at me. Do I look like I went some? No. So I would like to talk to you, especially you young ladies who are still growing. Don't stay in a relationship that is abusive, any kind of abuse, because everything starts with a small thing, then it goes bigger. I stayed in the relationship for 12 years, in the marriage for 4 years. I knew the marriage was not a good, but I did what I thought I was making myself happy, but I knew from the start that this is not the marriage. This is not a good place to be, but I continued to stay. Finding out where did it got me, look at me, now I'm disabled, now I'm traumatized, now I'm living with fear. I could have avoided that before I got to the marriage, but I avoided it. So lotlhe ba le dutse mo di relationshiping tse le goreng le abetswa la kgobiwa ka mafoko emotionally, and kopa le tswe nako santsane le teng. Ke kopa le tswe santsane modimo a le hile chance, because of you are not here by choice. God o na le purpose ka lona. So kopa le tse monyetla o gore keep on praying. A re be modimo ko pele. Then re bona a re kope a re protect, a re fe guidance, a re bontshe di signs tsa gore this is a wrong place to be, gore o kgone go tswa nako e santsane e le teng. Ene bo mme ke tlo go le kopa something, be independent. o ska batla go tlhola o direla ya ka nama, because of ba bang ba dutse mo di-relationshiping because of ntate ke ena a tsenyang dijo. O mo o dutse mo relationship because of ha itse go iketsetsa sleep. So if you stand for yourself and make money for yourself and do everything for yourself, you will not wait for a man to tell you what to do. You will not stand the abuse. So learn to stand up and do for yourself. Be confident for yourself. Believe in yourself. You can do it. I did it. You can do it. And everyone who's gonna do it, I believe in you. Thank you.
Okay. So obviously, it's domestic violence because they were in a intimate partnership and also they were married. And then obviously it's also just violence in the sense that she was stabbed. But we are thankful that she got out and that she is alive, because being stabbed 10 times, obviously, very few people survive that. So she is a survivor in more ways than one. And so I think with that, unless there's one more person, we will flight the presentation. Is there one more person? Okay, so this will be the last one, and then we will start with the presentation.
Dumelang botlhe. Lebitso la ka ke nna Katlego ne. Ke eme fa go tlo go lebelela ka gender based violence. Gender based violence e simolola ko sekolong ne. Ditšhomi di re sotla, di re dirisa dilo tse di phoso mo lefatsheng. So nna ke rapile 2 times. Ene ke rapiwa ke batho ba ke ba itseng. So nou yana ke sapane ke gana case ya rape. So mara ke a go tla siame ka gore batho ba ntsi ha nna ke tshwarisa ba nagana gore ha ke tshwarise ke sapane ke ratana le bone. So mare ke le ka go le bolelela ke re le tlhompe bo mama lona le bo papa lona ka go nna ke le ka utlwa molao wa manong mo lefatsheng ke ka mokgwa ke neng ka teng nou yana. So ne ke re ke le ka go le rotloetsa gore le lona le kgone go retsa bagolo ba lona jaaka le nna le dule ntse le mpolelela le nna go ke retse bagolo baka. So nou yana ke jaifisa bana ne ke butse jaife ke jaifisa bana go tlhaloganya ka kgone go bereka sentle ka gore nou yana ke ntse ke na le stress sa yone rape ya bobedi. So ke tla boela ko morago la ntse ke na le boyfriend e dula ntse e ntshetlefetsa e mpetsa nketsa e mare ke re botshelo bo tla nna sentle bo. Amen.
Okay, thank you, Katle. I didn't understand much of what she said, but I think she was explaining that gender-based violence starts at school, and that you have a boyfriend at school. But I didn't understand what was the entire story. So, but you did understand, ne? But it is, I think it's also intimate partner violence and abuse, I think. So what did she say at the end? Because you all got very excited. Okay. What did she say?
Are you dancing the kids?
What did she say? Katlego, can you tell me what you said at the end? Because they all speak in a choir, but they don't say. What did you say at the end?
E le ente like ke rata boyfriend ta ka la ntse ntšhotlha yang ke dula ke ntse ke e rata ka gore o montle thata ke a mo rata.
Okay. Ladies. Shh. Okay, so what did she say? Because she said
She says she loves her boyfriend because he's too handsome.
okay, ladies. Hello. Ladies, remember what we said on the first day? Can we please listen? Remember what we said on the first day? That some are still victims and some are survivors. That's why I said to you, I want to start by hearing your stories so that we can get a context in terms of what gender-based violence look like. So we've had a real context now, because whether we get angry at Katlego, that's the reality of what's out there. We have people like her, or young people, women, that they are still victims because they believe that they love the person, and that they, for whatever reasons, in her case it's because she thinks he's handsome. You understand? And not that we must agree with it, but for now we just have to hear her story. Okay? So let's not judge, let's not get angry. Yes, we can get angry at her, but she needs assistance, she needs support in terms of getting through the process, because obviously, and I also told you yesterday that in most situations, women leave the perpetrator at least 7 times. They go, they come, they go, they come. And some has the privilege of leaving for the 8th time alive. Others don't. So let's not judge, okay? Let's not get angry and upset, because I'm glad that Katlego also spoke, because it gives us a real picture of what we're dealing with. Okay, so I think they can flight the presentation now. So what I'm going to talk about, as I explained to you yesterday, is the Gender-Based Violence National Strategic Plan, and on a national level, and then obviously zooming into what the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies has done, and what we would like to hear from you is what more can we do. So you can move, Zakele. So I want to first start by explaining to you on a national level why we are doing what we are doing as the department, and where does it fit in. So as the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies, we have, we live in South Africa. And in South Africa, there is something called the National Development Plan, the NDP. Have any of you heard about the National Development Plan? Do you know what the NDP is? I'm not sure what's happening now, because people are not, are you filling in something? Or okay, can I check, do we know what the NDP is? I'm not getting a response. Do we know what the National Development Plan is? No. You don't know what the NDP is. So the NDP is the National Development Plan of South Africa. It's the plan that was put out in 2010. It's what tells us where they want to see our country in 2030. There is a lot of, it's about changing how the country looks in terms of employment, poverty, and inequality. You know, in South Africa, we have a lot of inequality. We have high levels of poverty. So they came up with a plan to say, how do we change that situation? And by 2030, we want to see a difference in the country. Now, in the case of DCDT, or the Department of Communications, in that plan, our role is to make sure that by 2030, 100% of the country is connected, that we have access to information technology, that people are able to learn at schools using technology, that they are able to, but also in the plan, it said that we need to see how does these technologies change people's lives on a day-to-day basis. So in terms of violence, in terms of education, and that's the role of the department, and that's the document or the plan, because I'm trying to explain to you from a national level, where does the work come from that we are doing as DCDT, and where it fits in. The second one is about in the country, now we are all in a digital environment. Remember, we spoke about the fourth industrial revolution. Do you remember that? The 4IR. And that we are moving towards being in a fourth industrial revolution. But in all of that, we need to ask ourselves, how is it going to make sure that we still protect women and children? So the department's role when it comes to the issues relating to GBV, when we are talking 4IR, is to see how does technologies not help make it worse or make it better for people to be safe online, in terms of when you are using your mobile phones, when you are watching television, when you are listening to radio, when you are engaging with the South African Post Bank or the post office, and so on. And then lastly, in terms of the department now, we also developed a plan called the Integrated Information Communication Technology Policy, where we looked at everything in the country in 2017, and we said we need to bring everything together so that people are able to have easier access to where they can find things related to the department. But even in that plan, we had to say, so how is it going to impact on women, youth, people with disabilities, and children? And in that plan, there is an entire section that talks about changing the situation for women, youth, and persons with disabilities. So those are the three pieces of legislation or policy documents that drives what we do as DCDT. You can go to the next slide. So now we are going to talk about the response of the department to the National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence, the NSP on GBV. Do we all know what the NSP on GBV is? We don't know it, ne? So now, remember on the first day, I told you that in 2018, do you remember? There was a march of people that went to the union buildings that said to the country that they're going to shut down the entire country if the president doesn't do something about the high levels of gender-based violence in the country. Ne? And then the president in 2020 then brought in what he decided. In 2019, he had a summit. Remember, I said to you on the first day, he had a summit where he discussed how are we going to, as a whole country, how are we going to make sure that we fight this scourge of gender-based violence. And he brought everybody, government, business, civil society, even your organizations like the shelters, the NGOs, everybody was there to discuss what are we going to do. And that's where the National Strategic Plan, which is a national plan on fighting this issue of GBV, was birthed, where it became a document. And then every department had to then say, how are they going to respond to the NSP? So the NSP is an actual document. And in the NSP, there are 6 areas. Remember, I told you this on the first day as well. There are 6 pillars. So there's 6 areas where we have to look at how do we overcome this issue of GBV. And the Department of Communications now, which is us, DCDT, we have decided to say we will focus on 3 of those areas. But obviously we need to work in all the pillars because everybody must work in all the pillars. But the first pillar is where we work as DCDT is prevention, which is pillar 2. There are 6, remember? But in the first one where we work is to prevent GBV. Remember the first person that spoke this morning, she spoke about the fact that if her mother listened to her, then she might not have been raped. So that's part of prevention. You understand? It's preventing GBV. So there's a whole pillar that says, what can we do as government, as business, as NGOs, as individuals in the country to prevent gender-based violence. So in that pillar, that's where DCDT plays a role. Then also in the pillar 3, which is about justice, safety, and reporting. So now pillar 3 is about all the laws. There's lots of laws in the country that deals with issues of gender-based violence, isn't it? You have to have a protection order. You have to go and make a case. You know this, ne? This is the kind of, so the pillar 3 is the one that deals with that, where the Department of Justice and all other departments are looking at changing the laws in the country. So DCDT also works in that pillar. That's where we support the work. And then the last one that where we work is pillar 5, which is economic power. So pillar 5 is economic power. It's not saying empowerment. It's not saying that you must have, we are going to empower you, but it's saying we want to give you economic power. We want you to start thinking about taking your power back as a woman, as a girl, as a boy, as a man that may have been abused or violated. And in that pillar, that's also where DCDT works. So that's the 3 areas in terms of the response where DCDT works. So you can go to the next slide. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through all of the pillars in terms of the 6 pillars so that you can understand what it is and what is expected of government departments and what DCDT has done. And then we will have a discussion around what more can we do, what else must government do. So the first pillar is about accountability. Is that the right one? Yeah. The first pillar is about accountability, leadership, and coordination. Remember, I said it has 6 pillars. So it's got 6 areas where all government, business, civil society, everybody must work. Now, accountability. Do we know what accountability means? Do we know what the word accountability means? Who wants to tell me what does accountability mean? When someone says you must be accountable, what does it mean? What does the word accountability mean? Anyone that wants to try. You can speak in your own language and then we can translate. What does accountability mean? You must take... Sorry? Say again. Say again.
It means like when you, for an example, when you bring this thing here, when it breaks, you were the person that brought it there. You must answer for everything that happens to it.
Okay, that's good. Yes, thank you. Good example. So it means you must take accountability. So you must keep yourself accountable. So if you are responsible for something, then you must keep yourself accountable. Ne? So the first part of this pillar is talking about accountability. The second part talks about leadership. So what is leadership? Anyone that wants to tell me what does leadership mean? What do you understand by leadership? Anyone that wants to answer? What is leadership? When we say leadership, what are we saying? So that you can, I want you to tell me in your language or in your understanding so that we can have a same understanding. So accountability, that's exactly what this is about. It's about everybody must be accountable. Everybody must be accountable for what are they going to do about the NSP. So in this pillar, everyone must have a plan or a target or a program that they are implementing that says they are doing whatever they are going to do. Everyone must have a budget that they say they're going to put into place to implement that program. Everyone must have a group of people, a team that's going to work and make that happen. So that's what's expected in terms of the first pillar. And as DCDT, what we have done is we have a program, we have a target, in our annual plan. All government departments has a plan that they have to implement on a yearly basis. We have a target, we have a budget, and we have a team of people that works in this area. But I must say, just to be clear, the team that works on GBV, that's not all we do, ne? It's not the only thing we do, but we have a team that works on GBV. So you can go to the next slide. So the next one is pillar 2. Is it pillar 2 or still the pillar 1? Pillar 2. What is pillar 2 again? I did mention it earlier. What did I say? What does pillar 2 deal with? Prevention. Making sure that it doesn't happen. Ne? So in the NSP, there's a pillar that talks about prevention. So what they did is they've asked every department to say, how are they going to prevent GBV from happening? So in the case of DCDT, what we have done is we have a state-owned entity, a company called the Film and Publication Board, the FPB. They do a lot of work on protecting children online. We also have a program where we work with schools, with parents, where we tell them about preventing these things from happening to their children. But for us, we focus on abuse online. We don't focus on when someone is physically abused, like the lady that said she was stabbed. We also don't focus on people that are maybe raped, because that's also physical. We deal with things that happens online. But all government departments must have a program for where they look at preventing. So the other thing that we do as DCDT is we have what is called the SABC, the South African Broadcasting Corporation, where you watch TV. Ne? You all know SABC. So SABC has a program, a year-long program, where they show adverts, where they do programs about telling people about GBV and how to prevent GBV. We also have what we did is we also contributed to the national program, where they have a prevention strategy that they developed. And we told them in that strategy, they must also look at how technology can be used. So we said to them, they need to look at, can we use phones? Can people be able to send SMSs and so on in terms of when they are in danger? But that's what we've done as DCDT. You can go to the next slide. So the fourth pillar, no, it's still the third, the third pillar. Remember the third pillar I said to you is about what? Justice, reporting, and safety. Now, the main department here is the Department of Justice. Remember, in the previous one, the main department is the Department of Women, Youth, and Persons with Disabilities, but DCDT supports the program. In this one, the main department is the Department of Justice. The first one, there is no main department except the Department of Monitoring and Evaluation has to look at whether all departments implement. This one is where we did a lot of work as DCDT, because we participated in the review of all the laws that deals with GBV. The first one being the Domestic Violence Amendment Act. Do you all know the Domestic Violence Act? You don't. Have you ever applied for a protection order? Then you know the Domestic Violence Act. because the Domestic Violence Act is the one that gives you the right to apply for a protection order. That's the law that says you can apply for a protection order. You understand? It's also the law that tells you how to make a case against someone if they have violated you. It's also the law that shows us, that puts together the register for people that sexually abuse people. Sexual offenders register is also in the Domestic Violence Act. Now, in the last year, in 2021, sorry, not 2022, they decided to change, to look at that act and to say there's a lot of things in that act that's making it difficult for victims of GBV to be able to access justice. And they then made a lot of amendments to that act. And I will only concentrate on the ones that we were involved in. So the section 6 of that act deals with protection orders and how to apply for protection orders online. So they also said we need to look at, can we help victims to apply for protection orders online? Can we help victims to fill in an application for a protection order online? But they also changed the act to say, if you go to the police station when you are making a case, now you can take 3 people with you. You can have 3 people that supports you during that time. You don't have to go there on your own, writing the statement, being afraid, being scared, just being raped. But now you still have to go to the police. You can go, someone else can actually even fill in for you. You tell them they can, because they've realized that when people are abused or hurt, they can't still talk. They also changed it in the court as well. When you go to court, you can have an intermediary. It's always been there, but now they have increased it to say any person that deems themselves having certain skills can apply to become an intermediary. So that an intermediary is the person that talks on your behalf when you are in the court, okay? Because sometimes if it's a child, they cannot speak for themselves. If it's a disabled person, they might not be comfortable talking for themselves. But they've always had it, but now they've changed it to include that more people, even teachers, nurses, anyone that has some kind of professional background can apply for an intermediary so that they can go with someone to court. They've also amended it to say that people under 25, between 18 and 25, is the most vulnerable when it comes to abuse. So they have a special category in the act now in terms of how young people under 25 must be dealt with, and children, and also people with mental disabilities. That's just a few of the changes. So I would really advise you now, you know how to go online, isn't it? You know how to go into the internet. You know how to go and look for information. The first thing that you must do now is to go look for the Domestic Violence Amendment Act, number 14. That's what it's called. It was amended on the 14th of April, 2022. So you must go and look for that act and find the amendments and understand what the new law is. So that's where DCDD played a big role. The other one is the Criminal and Related Matters Act, and also the Sexual Offences Act, where we gave some inputs, and all of these inputs that we gave is more around how to make it more accessible in terms of online reporting, as well as supporting persons with disabilities and children when they are victims of abuse. And then also what we did here is we've also amended our act, which is the Film and Publications Act. to include information about gender-based violence. Because the Film and Publications Act is the one where when you are watching when you are watching a film, a movie at the movies, or when you are having a publication, when you're reading something online, or when you're reading a publication, it's preventing that information from having information that is harmful to children. Ne? So if you are younger than 18, like sexual information and pornography, and also it's also about helping people that are maybe trafficked, human trafficked, and then used as sex slaves, so that, and in films. So that act, we amended it to say that if somebody is using gender-based violence content, and they are using it in a way that promotes violence, then they can also be fined as a internet service provider, or as a filmmaker, and so on. And do we know what is revenge porn? Revenge porn. Does anyone know what is revenge porn? Come on, ladies. You can't tell me you know what it is. Revenge porn, pornography, revenge porn. Does anyone want to try and tell us what is revenge porn? Anyone that wants to try? Okay, let me ask you this. Anyone in this room that has had a relationship with a guy? I'll take Katlego because Katlego's guy is so handsome. So, he's so handsome. So obviously they get busy a lot, ne? They must really hectic in. So now they are very much in love. Now remember, now they are in love, ne? It's not when it's not going well. It's going lekker. It's nice. And then Katlego's boyfriend says he wants to make a video of them, and he wants to take some pictures of her because she's so gorgeous. I'm just using it as an example, Katlego, ne? And then Katlego says, yeah, baby, yes, because we are almost together. And then they make videos and they make pictures and they even have a blog. Remember, you know what a blog is, no? They even have a blog, but it's only for them. It's private. Then things go sour. Now they don't like each other anymore. The guy is upset. Or Katlego sees another handsome guy. She doesn't want that one anymore. Then the guy takes all that stuff that they did together and he starts blackmailing Katlego, telling her, if you don't do this, if you don't do that, I'm going to put it everywhere and anywhere for everybody to see. That is revenge porn. You understand? And this act, the FPB Act, was also amended to include that as a violation in terms of gender-based violence now. And that's one of the things that we did as DCDT in terms of justice and safety. And then you can go to the next slide. Then we are on Pillar 4. Now, I'm not going to talk a lot here because that's where the Department of Social Development comes in. But for us as DCDT, Pillar 4 is care, support, and... Sorry, I can't hear you. Care, support, and healing. Okay? So as DCDT, we don't really work much in this pillar. We still need to look at where we can, and that's why we are working with DSD in terms of the shelters. But this pillar is about looking at programs that supports the victim now. Now it has happened. They are trying to get onto a new road. And what we did as DCDT is we've participated in other programs in other departments like DSD and also other education and health that has programs in this area where we gave information about how they can use technology to promote or to make their programs more accessible to the victims. But Bhuti from DSD will speak more about that in a moment after I'm done, and then Thandi will introduce him, and because this is that pillar. But this is a very important pillar, because this pillar is about helping you to get support, firstly, either through shelters or safety places. Secondly, it's about giving you information and access to places where you can get care. Because remember, if you were raped, if you were stabbed, if you were hurt, you need care. You need physical care. And then lastly, which I think is really important that was included in the NSP, is healing. Because if we don't heal, then we continue with to give the perpetrator power. So this is pillar 4. You can move. So pillar 5 is the one that talks to, what does it talk to? Economic power. Now in this pillar, there is a lot of indicators. There is indicators for the workplace itself. In every workplace must have a sexual harassment policy, and DCDT has one. It's not up on the screen because when we did the presentation, our policy was not approved yet, but we have an approved policy now. So that's for internal, for us now at work. If somebody is hurting me at work, we now have a policy, and that's every department, every institution must have a policy like that. This pillar is also about creating economic opportunities for the victims or the survivors of GBV, which includes training, which includes employment opportunities, which includes business opportunities. So most of the departments works in this area. As DCDT, this program is one of the interventions that we have done under this pillar, which is where we give you a digital skill, remember? So that is part of economic empowerment. We have also done a lot of work with SMMEs, where we train them and we give them information on how to start digital businesses. We have included in that program survivors of GBV, but it was not focused on them. You understand? It was more about the SMME opportunities. So we need to start looking at how we provide more. But as you can see, there's a lot of things that we've done. We've done dialogues on economic empowerment and discussing opportunities in the ICT sector, because this is about training, it's about employment, and it's about SMMEs. So what we do is we focus on telling people about what opportunities there are in the sector to go and study. That's why you had all that 4IR information. We also do the actual training, and then we also work with other departments to see how we increase employment opportunities in the digital environment. You can move to the next one. So then we are on pillar 6, which is research and development. Now, in terms of pillar 6, again, we don't work in pillar 6 directly, because it's more around doing new research, looking into what are new things that we can do to change the situation of this GBVs that we are facing. But we have started a process where we worked with Facebook, who is now Meta, that did a research on gender-based violence, online gender-based violence, not offline. We have also created a portal in the department that is a digital portal for information about programs and services. And we have told them that they need to include some information around how to combat gender-based violence in that portal. But this is about research and development. So that is what has been done. And then in 2022, in November, the president had a summit again. It's the second summit. And in that summit, DCDT was asked to start thinking about an information system where when you give your data and your information at one place, then it can be linked to another place. So that's the new thing that we need to work on as part of this pillar. The other thing that we were asked to do as part of the summit was also to start looking at the connectivity of police stations, health clinics, and so on, so that they always have internet. So that we already have worked on, but they asked us to do some research around how many of those places are in hotspots that doesn't have connectivity. And then obviously we need to try and see how we can assist to get them connectivity. So that's basically what has been done from DCDT side. I've also explained to you what the NSP is. So now it's your turn to ask me questions, not just me, but we are going to have a conversation, a discussion. You've now heard what has been done. You've heard what the NSP is. You've heard what we have done. So now it's your turn to speak. So I am opening it up for you now to ask questions. Tandi, if you can come assist with the... So please don't be afraid. If you didn't understand something, if you want more information about something, and then obviously linking it to your own situation, whatever you want to know or understand in terms of us going forward. Because for all of these areas that I've explained to you now, there is monthly meetings that we attend where we have to go and give information and input. So anything that we can't do here, we will take it to those meetings and see how they can change it so that you are part of changing the situation, not just being a victim. You understand? Okay, so can I start? If you're not putting up your hands, I will give you the mic, ne? So questions, comments, anything that you want to clarify? Anything that you didn't understand? Because this is your plan. It's the plan to assist you in the country. So anything that you want to know more about, or yeah. Any questions? Any comments? Okay, I'm going to start giving you the mic now, ne? Okay, let me go this side. Sorry. Do you have any questions or comments? Okay, and you?
I don't have any questions.
And you? Okay. Any comments or questions?
I don't have.
Okay, so did you guys understand the presentation? So is there anything that you want to suggest to us that we must do more of, or that we must change, or anything that we didn't look at in terms of the current things that we are doing as government and as DCDT? Any suggestions, any ideas about what else we can do? Because you've now heard what the plan tries to do. You've heard what what has been done. So any ideas, any suggestions around what you think we can do? Sorry? Is there someone? Okay. Where? Okay. Okay.
Good morning. My name is Bodle. I was listening. My suggestion is most of us married women who are being abused by our husbands, I think the suggestion for the government is we are living in abusive marriage, and okay, I'm talking about me. I wish I can leave my marriage, but I'm not working, and my husband is he's the one who's working. So I so wish the government can look at this matter, yeah, focus on the married ladies who are people who are married and being abused, to give us opportunities to work, to stand up on ourselves. Not that I'm lazy. I tried businesses to so that I can make money for myself and my son. So yeah, I so wish they can give us opportunities. When we go for interviews, they look at us first, maybe, yeah, because I am in abusive marriage. I even complete my degrees, always applying but don't get anything. Yeah, I think the reason why my husband is taking advantage, keep on abusing me, because he knows that I have nowhere to go. And yes, desperately need a job. Thank you. Human resource.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Any other suggestions or comments? Where? Okay. Oh, you'll give it the mic. Okay, thanks, Khobi.
Dumelang. Ke Disebo gape from Wolmaranstad. Now my focus is on pillar 4, where there is response, care, support, and healing. Most of the cases, especially on the rural places where we come from, we continue to stay in abusive relationships because some of how we have nowhere to go. My suggestion is that maybe how government could help us to build some safety places. Because sometimes you are in a relationship, at your home is a far place. Where you left the abuse, they're saying, I'm going to make a life for me. And then staying with a boyfriend or staying in a marriage where there is still you're going to be abused. And then maybe la lwana mo in the middle of night. O batla go tsamaya, motho o go hetile, ha ona ko o ka yang teng, ha ona di-relative. At least if nka bo go na le di-places where batho ba ba tlhekefetswang ba ka bewa teng, you can stay there until o kry-a your own space, until o kgona go ikemela wa go itulela ko plekeng e leng ya gago. So most of us re santse re le di-victim because re ntse re re, where will we go? A re dule teng mo go tshwanela o le ko strateng. Wa bona go yang. So re batla go ntsha ntho eo, government at least e re buildele some buildings where we can be safe. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So I think I just want to say that the first thing that she said is that sometimes the abuse is inside the home, and then you leave the home. You take some person to get married to because you just want to get out of the home, but then you end up in another situation of abuse. So I think that's also something that's quite important, but your point is noted. Thank you. And also the first person that spoke, I just want to say your point is noted under pillar 5 because that's the one on economic power, which basically you're saying, can we prioritize married women? Because maybe there is a notion that says married women are okay, but then they are not because they don't have economic power to get out of the situation. Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Yes, we have another one.
Dumelang. Now, my suggestion is about the justice. Nna ke suggesta gore di department tse dingwe di bereke le bo subs